Welcome back here, the heart of Las Vegas. I'm at Go Live Studios. This is Full Tilt Vegas. This is segment 2 on horse racing. I went into the jockey. I think it was the last time jockey trainer. So you can go to part 1. If you're ever gonna start horse racing, learn horse racing, you got to buy the form. You have to buy the form. Now the program, it has some pretty good information, but the main thing is the form. Now in California at the Simulcast where I go, this is $10. When I first started, it was $2.50, but there's a lot more information now than there was back then. It depends what track that you're. Where's it at? Your track. It'll tell you all the tracks right here. All the tracks, whatever track you want to play, you buy it and you can go through. You can go through all the tracks. So you should learn to read the form. Like I said in my first segment on horse racing, sometimes once you get really good, you read between the lines, and that's like I said on episode 1, when a jockey usually rides for a trainer like Peter Miller and Fabian Pratt. Sometimes you'll see him. He'll ride that horse. Maybe say he comes in second, first, and all of a sudden he gets off that horse, Peter Miller's horse for that race, and he goes to another trainer that maybe he's never even ridden before. You better look out for that because friends are friends, but business is business. So Pratt's on that horse for a reason. And a lot of times I've made pretty good money by doing that because I'm reading between the lines. So the other thing about, I think I went over this, but the Butte, it's like an aspirin. So if you read the form where it says, it'll tell you when he's got Lasix, it'll say how much he weighs, and it's a lowercase f for front wraps. And I went over that in the first one because their cannon bones are sore. You can't take the turns. And then the other one is blinkers. It used to be called the hood. And the rail used to be called the wood. They're scraping the wood. Those are all old jargon. But, yeah, so you can see what the horses picked up if they're on any Lasix. They're, like I said in the first segment, Lasix is because their lungs are bleeding. So a lot of horses come from New York or Ireland or Great Britain. A lot of times you get Lasix for the first time, and you can look at the workouts and see the last time they ran, and then look at the workouts. And usually it's you look at the new workout. Maybe it might be 2, it might be 3. It depends on the last time they ran. So then you can know if they're progressing or they're regressing. But the other thing about horse racing, sometimes the trainers, not the huge successful ones, but the mid trainers, a lot of times they hide the workouts. So because they're strappers or some of the people they know are betting the horse, so they don't want the odds to go down. So that's why sometimes you get a price on a horse. It might be 4-1, and maybe the horse annihilated the field. Maybe he won by 3 lengths. Maybe he won by 6-7 lengths. It's because the trainer was hiding the workouts so they can bet on the horse himself. Okay, that's front wraps, Lasix, the hood, the blinkers. Okay, also, when a horse is 2 years old, that means they're running for the first time, and they have to train them in the gate to get out of the gate. Well, when they're 2, Baffert used to be a quarter horse trainer, so a lot of his horse, he's real good with 2-year-olds because he knows how to break them out of the gate and all that. So 2 years old, and like I said last time, the breeding is really important. You can probably go online and look up the breeding for horses that are like front runners or speed horses, and look at the sires. It's usually the male, the sire, and find out what sires were speed horses when they were running, because a lot of the offspring, they same thing. They're the bloodlines. And look, you got to look for that. I'm trying to remember the name of this horse. I can't remember his name. I almost had it. That horse, I knew the trainer. I knew the owner, and after that horse ran, all his offspring, I remember it was the first. It was probably the first 6 months. Every 2-year-old that came out of that sire went to the front and never looked back. So everybody, after a while, everybody knew. Oh, look who's running. I wish I could remember that horse's name. Anyway, that's the other thing. Is the breeding is real important for speed. The breeding for the turf, which is the grass, that's very important because that's their bloodline. That's why horses from Great Britain and Ireland, what's the other one? That's why those bloodlines go back 200 years or more. So they're always bred for the grass. So when they come over here and they get Lasix for the first time because they were bleeding in Britain and Ireland, a lot of times those horses win because they got, in other words, their lungs are not getting filled with blood. So and then when they do give them Lasix, they only give them there's a first dose, and then they still come back maybe bleeding a little bit. Next time they give them the full dose. Okay, the other thing about horses, let's see, a 2-year-old filly, a 3-year-old filly, a 4-year-old filly. Once they become 5, they're now a mare. For the well, let's just say the woman's side. Now it's a mare. A horse is the same for a male is 2, 3, 4, 5. He's just called a horse. The first let me see, 2, 3. I think it's 2, 3. They're called a colt, and then they become a horse. So and a lot of people don't know this. The reason why I know a lot of this stuff is because I hung around with a lot of guys who been playing for 30 years, maybe 40. Some of the guys, I picked up so much stuff from them 7 guys. The main one was Gary. He was the main guy, but a lot of stuff I picked up from them. And you don't know this stuff. The only way you're going to find this out if maybe the digest. I don't know if the digest has that in there. Digest is very expensive. It's $15 now. That thing's got a ton of. It's got way more information than the form, but it's expensive. It's $15. But it has Clocker's Corner. What that is when they go out there in the morning and they clock the horses, all his workouts, and that information is in. Then they go A, B, C, D. So if it's an A, and then his second workout was another A, you better watch that horse, because that horse is right now, he's in tip-top shape, and he's ready to rock and roll. The other thing, after when even a filly, when they become 4 years old, they run at 2, and then they run at 3, and if they're good enough, they'll try to get them to run in the Kentucky Derby or some real big stake races. They're very coming into their own when they're 3. When they're 4 years old, that horse is in his prime. Right at that 4 years old, that horse, whatever that horse is going to be, it's when they're 4. So that's when they don't know what's really going on when they're 2. When they're 3, now they understand coming out of the gate, the workouts, what the jockey's making me do. But as this is going on, by the time they become 4 years old, that's when they're in their prime. So a lot of times I'll look at a race that says for 3-year-olds and up, and I'll say, well, these 3-4 horses are 3-year-olds, but look at, there's a 4-year-old. So I look at that 4-year-old a lot. The other thing about that, when they're 2 years old and they're running for the first time, and when it's just like, okay, I'm gonna give you the analogy on that. If when a horse first runs in January, and then you got another horse that's running in April, the horse that, well, it'd be April by then. If the horse is running and he's 2 years old in 4 months, that horse is 2-year-old in 4 months. He's running in April. the horse was running at that's running now in April, and I might have backwards. Now the one in January, is older than the horse that was born in April because he was born in April. The horse in January is 4 months older than the horse in April. So it's like a toddler. You get say you get a toddler that starts walking at 9, and then another toddler starts walking at, say, a year. Well, if you stood them both up and lined them up and get them to run, that's ran at 9 months is going to run a lot more faster than the one at 12 months because that one's already seasoned and already knows how to balance on it. So this is the same thing with horses. Whenever they're born in January, and the ones in April, the one in January's got 4 months on the April horse at 2 years old. Remember, it's 2 years old. After that, it don't matter, but it's at 2 years old. And I learned that from Gary. Some people that say that stuff don't work. Yes, it does, because a lot of times a horse is a little bit older, even if he's 2 months older, they're more mature, and they've been they might had a race, maybe 2 races already before the other horse. So that's another thing you kind of want to look at. The breeding I already went over in the first one, but you need to look that up. Now the breeding for the dam is if you're ever trying to bet a grass race, the turf, you got to look at the dam side, because the dam side is where they breed them, and that's usually the grass. A lot of times a sire, if they're breeding a horse for speed, they'll try to find a dam that was fast filly or mare at the time. So they breed them for the dirt and speed. And for the dam side, they'll look for a sire that had some breeding for the grass, and they breed him with the dam for grass. So that horse, you can see where the commentators say, "Oh, he's bred for the grass." That is so important. If you play the turf, that's really important. The other thing, when the trainers are training them, that's when they break them out of the gate. If the other thing about that is when they're breaking out of the gate, so they understand how they're coming out of the gate. They learn that. Now, when you see a workout, and you'll see, there'll be probably, I should have probably, oh, here's one right here. This says, looks like breezed out of the gate. And this one just says breeze. They're uppercase B in bold, and then a lowercase g. That means the horse breezed. So that means that the horse did his workout breezing. They weren't asking the horse on the workout. And then it looks like out of the gate. If you see workouts and the horse, say he ran 4 furlongs, say he ran 5 furlongs, and he did it in a minute and change, okay? And then you see another workout. It could be either the same horse or another horse, and it says that horse ran 1 and change, just like the other horse, but that horse, how could I say this? That horse did not come out of the gate. He actually, they're standing there and they're trotting around. Then they get them to go a little bit, and as soon as they're at a certain point, they'll clock them. But see, they're already moving. Now out of the gate, they're at a standstill, so it takes longer. Open the gate, and then they go out. So the horse that was in the gate has the same workout as the one that was freestanding. That horse ran faster because he was in the gate. So it was at a standstill, and then he takes off. The other one was already moving a little bit and then took off. So the one that was in the gate, and they had the same workout, say a minute and change, the one in the gate ran faster than the other horse, even though the times are identical. That's the other thing you got to look out of the gate. And then they're coming home. breezing, that means that they weren't pushing them; they were breezing. So the horse, they try to save the horse because the count cell, the white count cell, after a horse runs, the count cell goes way down. So that's why they try to get them in the barn as soon as they can, and then they cool down their cannon bones. And a lot of times you'll see when it's in summer, they'll throw buckets of water on the horse near the winter circle because they got to cool them down because those horses can die. You ever see those cowboy movies where you see the horses, the thoroughbreds running all over the place 100 miles an hour, and they got this chase and they keep running and they're full bore out running? That's in the movies. Actually, sometimes they might have 4 or 5 horses, and it's different horses, and they're acting like it's the same horse. You can't do that. If you run a quarter horse too far, they'll just fall over and die. That's why they got to be real careful with horses. The white count goes so far down that they can actually die when you're riding them. They just fall over. So that's why they only run them every 7 days. They'll have a workout. So it's every 7 days because after that workout, even though it's not a race, they have to get the white count back up. So that's why it's only every 7 days that they have a workout. Let me see the breed. Let's see. And the other thing I want to make sure, this is very important. I want to make sure that people remember. I'm trying to find one that's bad. 72. Anyway, the track variance. Track variance is very important. And let me see, Aaron. You can get that right here. Let's see if I can get a close up of that. That is very important. Matter of fact, I was at the races today. Where's it at? Which way? Right, up, right where my finger is. That's a track variance. That's very important. It's right next to the front wraps. If the horse is having butte or blinkers, it's right next to it. It's called a track variance. And I was talking to a friend that bets pretty good money at the races, and he told me that's not what it means. I go, yes, it does. And he said it was something about, I can't remember what he said, but I told him now, because I heard Jeff Siegel say it. Everybody plays horses. If you want to look Jeff Siegel up, that guy's very knowledgeable because he has his own horses and he had a stable partnership. He said it one time. So I know it's a track variance. And that means if, say a horse is running, say 67-40, and then the next one it says 75-26, and then it says 58, which is a deep track, and 58, say it says 40. And then all of a sudden, he's a front runner. And this horse runs to the front, but he dies like a stuffed rat. Because the track is heavy. So even though he runs to the front, his splits are 21 and change, 45 and change, and he ends up regressing. It's because the track is too heavy. And you can't tell that day unless you're looking at the fractions, and hopefully you can adjust your handicapping. But if you see it next time, you'll notice the track variance was bad. When the number in front is in a 60s, 50, 60s, 70s, and then the other number is it could be 30, 40. That means that track was heavy that day. And you can see the front runner. You can see he was running and he died. If you look, I look at the form and I see him. This horse runs to the front. He run 4 races at the front, pretty good fractions, and he dies. And now when you're watching a certain race, before that, he runs 3 races, and they're all track variance is bad. The track was heavy, and then the 4th time he ran, and he won easy. And I look over to the track variance, and it says 97, or it might say 99.7. It might say 95.3. That track was fast. And that shows you that track variance is very important. Because if you're watching a horse in a race, and that horse has even 2 races, the track variance was really bad, and he's a front runner, and sometimes these horses run really quick. I mean, they're faster than a normal fast horse. So this is funny because I was telling Steve, there's this guy that I know in California that goes to the Simulcast. I see him there, and I told him that a certain horse was going to win because the track variance was crap. So that, and we were watching the races that day. I think it was Santa Anita. All the horses that went to the front were front runners. They were winning. They're all front. You'll see on the form. You'll see a bunch of ones, or two, one, then a two. You'll see that. That means those horses are front runners. If the track is fast and they're going 21 and 2, they're going, say they go 40, 44 or 43, and they're still in the front, and you got to watch the other horses. There might be, say, for example, the horse is 1, then there's 2, and then there's 3. That's the numbers, 1, 2, 3. And you watch those horses, and they're in the front. The fractions are really fast. And then they go, say they go 43, and they're still in the front. And then they go, let's say they go 55 to 5 furlongs, and they're still in front. And then the first 1, 2, 3, those come in just like that 1, 2, 3, because those horses were front runners, and the track was fast that day, so they stayed in the front. They didn't die. So now, if you start seeing a race like that, and God, the track's fast today. I mean, I'm talking to some guys when I just first walk in. They don't even know what's going on. They look up at the screen, and there was a guy one time go, "Those horses are flying," and I looked at him, and I'm looking at the fractions. I'm going, "Those horses are crawling." And because he just looked like they were going fast, but you got to look at the fractions. First, second, the first 2 furlongs is very important, and the second one. But the first one's really important because if they go too fast on a normal track, which they say they mark it as fast, that's what they say. That's because they mean the track is normal. If they say it's the turf is fast, it's fast. But if it says it's yielding, that means it's heavy. That means it got wet, so the horse's hoofs are digging deeper into the turf, so they get tired. That's why all the horses go to the front. They regress and come back because they're tired. So that's what you want to look for. So if a horse runs the last 2 races and he runs to the front, he died, both of them. He came back regressed. Now all of a sudden you see a track that this horse runs to the front, and the speed is incredible. These horses are going really fast. Guess what? That horse is probably going to win that race because this time he ain't going to die. He's going to actually, it's called moving up. He's going to move up. When they get blinkers, a lot of times horses move up. So, I won that day. I told Steve, and I won 4 races in a row. 3 races were at Santa Anita, and 1 was at I think it was Belmont. And I looked in the form, I looked at track variance. All these horses ran in the front. They all died. The first race I won, the horse was 9-1. Everybody's betting on the favorite, 3-5. I told him, I said, I think this horse is gonna win. He's a front runner. He's been dying, and now the track is really fast. He's probably going to win the race, 9-1. I bet him. I bet 40 to win, and he won. If he's 9-1, this is the other thing about people want to know this. If he's 9-1, but a lot of times it's $2 bet. So you go 9, and then you go times 2, which would be 18, and then it's 2 the bet. So they give you $2 back, or $20 back, or $100 back. So any horse that's 9-1, it's going to pay $20. So it's 9-9, and then your bet. If he's 5-1, that horse is a $12 horse, because it pays 5-1, and it's $2 bet. So $1 and $1 is $2. So it's 5 and 5 is 10, but they give you back the $2. So it's a $12 horse. You'll learn that in the forum. That's the other thing, learning the odds, what they pay, 8-5 and all that. Yeah, I was going to mention too, because I didn't do this on part 1 and others. You guys see my other shows? I have a book out. It's called It's in the Book, Winning Ways. I was one of the top selling books on Amazon 2 years ago. I think it was 2.5 years ago. And actually, I was, this book's on roulette, craps, and blackjack. There's no horse racing in it. That book, I was 7th place for a month. and I was with all the top professional gamblers and people talk about gambling. I was really proud of that because I'm a nobody, and these guys have been around for 30, 40 years, and I was 7th place. So you can get it on, I suggest you get it on your phone because you'll have it everywhere with you, and it's cheaper. I think it's $9. You can Kindle it, Google Play. You can get the hard copy. I think it's 14 if you want it. But if you go somewhere to Vegas and whatever, and say, oh man, I forgot that book. That way, when you have it on your phone, you'll have it everywhere you go. Let me see. What else? Okay, the other thing. This is the other thing, and I hear this a lot. Some of these people, I'm sorry, but they don't have the experience I have. They just don't. I was lucky to meet Gary and the other 6 guys with all that knowledge that I was soaking in like with a sponge. So I know you probably heard this before. Anybody plays horses? Oh yeah, I remember that horse. I won last year with that horse. I go, well, what does that mean? That doesn't mean the horse that you bet a year ago is going to win today. First of all, what was the distance? Was it 6 furlong? Was it 7? Was it a 2-turn race, which is a mile or more? Was it at the same track, which is important? Some horses, they're called horses for course, and that means that those horses, they either like on the grass, or they like the dirt, or they like a certain track. Now, some horses, that's why the Kentucky Derby, a lot of horses are shipped over there. Sometimes they're shipped 3 weeks before. 3 weeks, or I can't remember. One of the trainers said it's best that they ship a week because the 3 weeks is to get the horse to climatize where in Kentucky, wherever the horse was swimming, to climatize, and then give the horse a couple of workouts on the track so he gets familiar with the track, because a lot of horses have never been there. The other trainer, I can't remember what the name of the trainer was, but he said he don't like to do that. He had better luck shipping a horse. They're called shippers. Shipping a horse 1 week before, because he wanted the horse not to get settled down and relax, because he wanted him to get there, have one workout, and then race. But usually they ship them ahead to make sure the horse gets climatized and he gets used to the track. So sometimes horses, they like certain tracks. I remember this because I remember sitting there with Gary, and Gary goes, oh man, this horse won 3 times at Hollywood. Hollywood used to be a really fast track. And he goes, guess where you went? Del Mar. Almost every year that I've been going to Del Mar, a lot of horses don't run to the all the horses run the front. They either come in, I mean they do win, but more normally they'll come in maybe 4th or whatever. Most of the horses that run at Del Mar, they come from behind, because now let me see if you guys could figure this out. Listen to this, because I tell people a lot about this. It's like I said, it's the way the track is running is half your bet. If Santa Anita and Hollywood, it's in California where it's hot, especially in the summer, the sand gets hot, so it's dry. That's why you see the trucks going around and they wet it. They wet it and till it 3 inches. After the race is over, they till it 6 inches. But when they're running every race, they wet the track and to keep the track tight, and then they water it. You'll see them watering, and the little grades, they're going down 3 inches, and they till it. And so they're keeping the track a little moist. Now, I've always said this. Why are they doing that at Del Mar? The ocean is 1 mile away. You could see it. It's already overcast or cool. That water does not evaporate. So they keep wetting it. Now, guess what? The track gets real heavy because it's not tight. They keep putting water in it, so it's kind of sluggish, and the horses get tired. So a lot of horses at Del Mar come from behind. So you got to remember that. Yes, sometimes for some odd reason it might be a little hotter at Del Mar, and the track gets a little more tight. So the horses sometimes they do pretty. It's a lot of times they just don't. I'm very leery of picking front runners. Now 6 furlong, 5 furlongs, you got a pretty good chance. But at 7 furlong and a mile, a lot of times they die. They just can't win. Okay. The other thing about that, people want to know, like I was saying last week, or my last segment, the rail, it's a bias, because a lot of people don't know the track is actually tilted towards the rail. And when the track, if it's raining or it gets a lot too much water, the water actually goes towards the rail, and there's a drainage system there, so it drains there. Well, if there's too much water in the track, all the water is going to the rail, and the rail becomes heavy. That's why you'll see the rails has a front running bias, and you don't want to be on the rail because the horses die. So that's why, because the track is tilted. And you'll see some races. Hopefully, a lot of these commentators, I think Brittany Urton and what was the other girl's name? Her father used to be a jockey. Anyway, he took her when she was a little girl. Now she's a commentator. She knows a lot about horses. Once in a while, they'll say that. They should. To me, because I'm listening. I want to know. I want every advantage I can get. So you'll say, because they did this a week ago at the Kentucky Derby. They were talking about it. So I redo the rail is dead. So they'll tell you, well, you don't want to be on the rail. It's a bias. It's a holding bias. So I try to stay away from the rail, especially if it's they're front runners and they're one in the gate 1 and 2. You gotta be real careful, because if they stay there, they're probably gonna die. I've seen jockeys that know that, and you'll see them when they run. And you can tell they're staying off the rail. When they make the turn, sometimes you see them go 4 wide. All the jockeys are doing it because they know you don't want to be on the rail. So they know that. But hopefully the commentators, they tell you, they should. Just like I told you, the stickers, they're mudcocks, they're cleats. So when the track is muddy, the horses that get mudcocks are going to take that turn a lot sharper than the horses that don't, because they don't want the horse to flip. Let me see, front running bias, the track. Yeah, the other thing, let me think. Okay, that's the dirt. Okay, the grass. A lot of people don't know this. Even the dirt there's a certain amount that's cured. It's got sand, dirt, it's a lot of mixture in that. And then below it's got sand, and there's 3/4 rock. So that way it can drain real fast. Now the turf, same thing. Only 30 feet. Remember, from the rail, 30 feet out, that grass is all cured. It's all cured, and it's maintenance up for the horses to run on that. Now, well, you'll see. It'll say, let me see. Oh, it should say it right. Almost when it tells you what the distance of the race is, it'll tell you right about here. It'll tell you that the rails are out. If the rails are out, right about, where did I get my finger? Anyway, the rails are out. Now, if the rails are out 10 feet, don't worry about it. If it's 15 feet, maybe. But if the rails are out 20 feet and 30, you don't want to be on the front. You do not want to be in the front when those rails are out, because they're not running on the cured grass. They're running on regular grass. So a lot of horses that run to the front and the rails are out 30 feet or 25 feet or whatever, those horses usually don't, actually those horses that run to the front, there's a chance that when they run to the front, the horses that are behind, they're not going to catch them, because the horses that are running in front are running on regular grass, and it's hard to catch them. That's why, and the reason why they do that, because they're saving the grass, because sometimes the grass if they run a lot of races, it gets all chewed up. So it gets chewed up. So they're having the rails out 10, 15 feet to save the grass, or to get the grass back where it should be. So it'll be a good turf, because they don't want to run. It's all chewed up. Those horses in England, I remember when they run, it's called stomping the divots. Okay, you'll probably see that in the movie Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts. It's called stomping the divots. Well, all the top officials and kings and queens used to go out there and they flip over the little grass, and then they stomp on it to smash it. That's because the horse's hoof picked that grass up, and if they keep doing that and they don't do nothing about the turf, it'll be all so jacked up, be running almost on dirt. So that's what, there's certain reasons why the track does what they do, but it affects the horses. So you have to know that. The information I'm telling you on these segments, I picked up for the last 30 years. And there's little teeny things that they're not going to tell you in the forum. The closest thing that you're going to get close to having any type of real information is the digest. It's very expensive. But I just go by the forum. And if you're ever interested in finding out Clocker's Corner, I think one of them's called. There's another one, can't remember that one's name. There's like 4 of them that I know that are out there. You can, and a lot of times it's in the forum. You'll see, give you the number. It's called the cheat sheets, and you can download them. You pay a service per month or year, and they'll give you all the workouts, and they give you a what is it? They tell you about the horse, and a comment, and they'll tell you this horse is running faster than he did 2 months ago, and then they'll give you the grade in the first, second, and third, maybe the fourth splits. Splits the same thing. The time, you got to watch the times. It's very important, and they'll tell you about how fast he ran half a mile, or how fast he run the first 3 furlongs. They'll tell you everything about, and they'll grade the horse. Those are cheat sheets, and you'll see it A, B, C, and D, and then they'll if you see a horse it says A, and then it has a plus, that means that horse is probably really sharp. Even if it says A minus, it's still running pretty good, especially if he gets 2 of them. He might get an A minus, and then the next workout's an A plus. Now you got to be careful. If it's reversed, I see horses that get an A, then he got a B, and they go, oh, what happened? Why's he got a B now? So those are the cheat sheets. You can pay that service, and you download them the day of the race or 2 days before, and you go to the track and you'll have those cheat sheets. Now there's another thing called Bob's Card. I've known that thing since I was 12 years old, because I asked my uncle, what's that? What's that yellow card that guy's trying to sell for $2? It's called Bob's Card. Let me put it to you this way. If Bob knew who was going to win, you think he'd be telling you? They're there to make money, is what they're there for. I mean, sometimes Bob's Card does good, but a lot of times in that movie, the horse was called, what was he called? Chiquita Banana? Chiquita Banana in the first. If you ever watch a really good movie on horse racing, it got almost everything right. Let It Ride with Richard Dreyfuss. That movie, there's so much stuff in that movie that was true. That really happened at the track, especially people eating out of the trash cans. But that movie was funny. I think they could have did more, but if you ever want to see a comedy movie on horse racing, you got to see that movie. Yeah, so the other thing about in a race, if you see this is stuff that you're not gonna pick this up. A lot of people don't even talk about this on the commentator and stuff. If you get a race, there's 5 horses. Okay, 5 horses. Now, even if they're speed horses or come from behind, there's only 5. So the jockeys know might not get in trouble getting caught on the rail. There's only 5 horses to maneuver, and a lot of times they'll move up, but they'll make their move going into the turn. So now you got to remember, say a horse that you won last time, and there was 5 horses, and then this time he's in a race and there's 12. Well, that horse, unless he's a front runner, and he has to break out of the gate and go to the front and try to control the splits. Now, if he's not, if say he comes off the pace a little, say he lays back 5, okay, and then there might be 3 horses that are front runners. Well, when the race goes off and there's 12 horses this time, that horse is going to have a hard time maneuvering between all those horses. So that's the other thing. When you see a race that has 5 horses, he probably maneuvered easy because it was only 5. It was 4 horses in him. So when you get a horse, 12 horses, and he doesn't run to the front, he's got to maneuver in between horses and make his move. Either try during before he hits the turn, or after the turn. After the turn, he's got to try to maneuver because he doesn't run to the front, so he's not controlling the splits. That's the other thing. 5 and then 12 horses. Let me see. And then it tells you too. I think they used to do it. They don't do it no more. They used to tell you how many horses were in the race. Excuse me. The other thing is called a buyer's figure. Yes, I do look at that, Aaron. These are really low. There's a cheap race. This is a straight maiden. This is a maiden. It's called the buyer's figure. Now you can look at this. Sometimes it's very important. Depends on the race. It's called a buyer's, and they give you the number. The higher the number to 100, or sometimes I've seen 103. That means that horse did a fantastic job and probably won by 4 or 5 lengths. That's called a buyer's figure, and that sometimes that's very important. Now the horses that come over from England, Britain, France, they don't have a buyer's figure. Jeff Siegel used to talk about that on Friday night before the race, and he used to give you the numbers, and it was the closest number to a buyer's number. And sometimes when those horses come from Europe and they say they're getting Lasix, and he says that horse, his numbers, all his numbers were like having a 95 buyers, but it's not in the form. You had to watch that show. I used to watch that show all the time. I was on KDOC in California, and he used to give you the inside information about horses like that. But you can't. They don't have buyer figures. They don't have buyer figures over there, but they have them here, so you can kind of tell what horses. But then again, like I said, say a horse has got a 59. This one has a 53, a 65, and a 59. And then I look over the track variants, and I know, okay, now I know why. If he was a front runner, and look at he was second, third, second, he stayed at second. It's because the track variance was bad. That's why I got a bad buyer's figure. So if they got a high buyer's figure, like in the 90s, that's really good. So some people look at that. I used to look at that a lot, but I kind of don't look at that no more. Which I do, but I don't give it a lot of, So the main thing is the conditions. The conditions of the race is very important. Non-winners of 1, non-winners of 2. I don't know if I said this in my first episode. When you get a horse, which I did win, he beat out the 2 favorites. There was a horse that was running at Santa Anita. This was about 6 months ago. Was it 6 months ago? Anyway, he came out of I think it was a 35,000 optional claimer. Okay, optional claimer means you can buy them, and then the allowance horses you can't buy. But he was running up against some pretty good horses. It's called coming out of a better race, tougher race. So he goes from 35,000 optional claimer. He goes into a $16,000 claimer. I'm going, what the hell is he doing in here? Now, this is the other thing. There's 2 things. Either the horse hasn't been winning, so it's $3,000 a month for the upkeep, training. Every 6 months they got to deworm them, and train them and feed them and keep them in the stalls. It costs $3,000 a month. So sometimes these trainers tell the owner, hey, look, you can keep him in these races and pay the fee to enter him, or I found a race that he can run in, but he might get claimed. But they got to make money. So hopefully a horse don't get claimed, and they put him in that race, and if he wins, they get the purse, the money. So what happened was this horse was 35,000 optional claimer, which is a way better race than a $16,000 claimer. But these 2 horses were the favorite. One was 8-5, and I think the other one was 2-1. My horse was 7-2. Some people were betting it. And the morning line, I think the morning line, it's called the morning line. I think he was 7-1 morning line. And I go, why is this horse morning line? Now, the other thing I was going to say, something might be wrong with that horse too. They said, but they're not going to tell you. I mean, the vet's going to say, hey, this horse's tendons are getting really messed up. He might break down when he's running. Break down means he snap his cannon bone. So what happens is they put him in that race, a cheaper race that he can win, or something's wrong with the horse, and that's why they got him in that race. That's the other thing you got to look out for, especially if they come out with front wraps the first time. They come out with front wraps, there might be something wrong with that horse. But then again, there's been trainers known to wrap a horse so they don't get claimed. So what happens? My horse was a front runner, okay, and he was a 7-2. I put $100 to win on him, and what happens? He went to the front, didn't look back. He annihilated the two favorites, and he won by 3 lengths. And I said I should have put $200 on him. Yeah, I got what was it? 7-2, $9. So what I got back 500 and something. Anyway, so I beat it. It's because he came out of a better race, 35,000 optional. Now there's horses, if you see them coming out of an allowance races, and they're running and all allowance, and all of a sudden there's a, say it's 47,000 allowance. He's been running 47,000, and he's been doing all right, and then lately he's been regressing. So if they take that horse and they put him in a, say they put him in a 32,000, now let's go a little higher, $45,000 claimer. That horse has been running the allowance races. He's been running against tougher horses all this time. There was no claimers. Now he's in a claiming race. You got to look out for that horse, especially look at his last time he ran. Say he ran in April, and now he's had 3 workouts in May. You got to look at those workouts. The other thing about that, most of the time, it's usually, since I've been in horse racing, you'll see, say you see 4, even a first-time starter. Say you see 5 workouts. Now you can see, say 5 furlongs. He goes a minute and change, and then the next race is a minute 2, and then the next one is say a minute 2, and the workout before the last workout, that right there is the one they run them. If they're running 3 furlongs, 5 furlongs, whatever, you'll see a lot of times their time is really good. Now instead of a minute and change, this horse has ran that workout the same 5 furlongs. He ran it in say 58, and then you look down here, it'll say how many horses ran that day on that track, and you'll see, say there's 60, and that horse ran, say he got 1. That means he got a bullet. It'll be a little black dot in bold. He got the bullet. That means that horse ran the fastest that day at that distance. He got the bullet. Now the next one, he might run a minute and change, because 7 days before, they're not going to run that horse and deplete his white cells. So the workout before is the one you want to look at. That one's really important. The distance too is important. Depends if he's a front runner or it comes from behind. I've had horses that run in the front on the grass and only 5 furlongs, and I go, well, this horse is going to go to the front and not look back. A lot of times I've been caught. And some horses, just like I said, they come from behind, and a lot of times it's on the turf, because you'll see a lot of horses in a turf race. It's called a blanket finish. You'll see a lot of horses close, or they start coming. That's the way the turf is. A lot of horses come really have, it's called a kick. Some horses have a kick, and that's when they really move. A lot of times you'll see it in the form. Now, if a horse is not performing the way he's been performing, what happens is, if it's a different jockey, they'll get new instructions. If they get a horse that's running and they're holding him back, that means they're rating him. They're trying to hold the horse. But sometimes if a horse doesn't like that or doesn't run like that, sometimes it jacks them up, and they don't win or come in fourth. So, but if they're front runners, horses are born to run in the front because they're front runners and they're fast. Especially if you get blinkers for the first time. that horse will run and stay in the front. But like I said, on the turf, a lot of times the horses come and because they have, it's called a late kick. You'll see a horse or two, all of a sudden they have another gear. Boom, they're gone. That's called a late kick. And I've been caught. It's only 5 furlongs, and I had the front runner, and he got beat. And I go, how did he get beat? What are you, dummy? The other thing about that, let me think. Yeah, that's on. Now, if you see a horse that runs, say they run 5 furlongs, and he's running in a couple of races below, because you'll see the past performance. You notice he's running and he's in the front, but you'll see in the back, in the back of that, if he's in the front, you'll start seeing other horses how he's winning by 4, how he's winning by 3. Now he's only winning by 2, and he did win. But you can see the other horses are catching him. That horse, he's running 5 furlongs, maybe 5.5. That horse could only run at that distance. So if you ever see that horse again, and now he's going from 5 furlongs to maybe 6 furlong or 6.5 on the turf, you got to be real leery, because that horse is going to die. He's not gonna keep going. So that's the other thing you got to look for. Now the other thing, when the horses are making, if it's 6 furlong and they make the turn, and then 6 furlong, they're going for the first time, and they're running on the far turn, and then they come a clubhouse, and the horses, it's called switching leads. It's because the horse on his front, he's running on this front. Now he's got to switch. And then if they don't do that, they don't switch leads, a lot of times they're running awkward. They're running awkward because they didn't switch leads. And that means the other horses that do switch leads, a lot of times they catch a horse that was in the front. If that horse would have switched leads, he would have probably won the race. So what they do, they take him back after, and they try to train him to make sure they need to switch leads. There was a race, I think it was a week ago, and I noticed a horse when he turned. It's real hard to tell, but you got to look at the front legs. I could tell you he didn't switch leads. I went, oh man, he's gonna get caught, and they were coming. And I was lucky; the wire came right when I needed. I only won by 2 inches, but he didn't switch leads. But I still won. If he would have switched leads, that horse would have annihilated the field to hang on like that. Let me see. Oh, the other thing is, be careful. If a horse, I'm not gonna say the jockey, really irritated. 2 of them, 2 jockeys, seasoned jockeys, 10 years ago. I don't think they're right. Oh, I know one's retired. One would be so afraid of the rail, he'd pull his horse up. So that was because it was the jockey, not the horse. So you got to get to know your jockeys and trainers with the jockey. The jockey's the one steering the horse. And the other jockey used to get on the rail on purpose and get trapped on purpose. So he'd run. He was the best horse. The horse should have won the race. He runs up, even if he's I've seen him in the 5 hole, and he's a front runner. You know what he did? He waited till the horses got in front of him, and then he went to the rail. He should have went to the front because he was a front runner, and he gets trapped. When he gets trapped, when they make the first turn and coming around the clubhouse turn, he tried to get out of trouble, and I lost a lot of pick 3s because of that. And there's times where I go, no, I'm not going to play him. He's going to go get caught on the rail on purpose. Now you'll see the Kentucky Derby. A lot of times the horse that's say the horse has won the Kentucky Derby, and then the horse won the Preakness. Okay, now he's going to run the Belmont. Okay, this is why they do this. It's all business. What they'll do is those jockeys are giving instructions. See if you can trap him on the rail. They're just trap him because they don't want that horse to win. The reason why is it's not because they're friends. It's a business. So if you get a horse that wins a Triple Crown, or even he wins a Kentucky Derby, that horse's stud fee just went through the roof. So if a horse wins the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown, if that horse wins the Belmont, guess what? All the people that want to get into horse racing and buy horses, you have to get a trainer to do it. You can't do it yourself. So guess where they're going to go? They're going to go to the guy that won the Triple Crown. And so all the other trainers, they're going to lose business because of that. I mean, it's all fair and games. I mean, it happens. It's just stuff that it's not really talked about. But that's the whole purpose, is making sure that one trainer is not dominant, because that's where everybody's going to go. People that have money, there's a lot of people that have a real money. And if they're going to get into horse racing, guess where they go? Well, right now, guess a lot of people are going to Baffert. Because he's very well known. He's a really good trainer. Baffert's a very good trainer. Fantastic quarter horse trainer. Well, he used to do quarter horse. Now he does thoroughbred. But that's where a lot of people go. Back in the old days, it was Charles Whittingham. That was the man, Charles Whittingham. And then it was D. Wayne Lucas. But right now, the main trainer is Baffert. He's got a lot of real good. Watch out when it's a 2-year-old race. Watch out for Baffert. But you know, a lot of people already know. They bet the horse. His morning line is 2-1. Now he's 1-9. The morning line means, say a horse is 5-1, and now he's 2-1. The morning line was 5. Now the consensus picked that, but the public is betting that horse. That's why the horse is 2-1. Now when a horse is 3-1. And I took it out. He's 3-1, and now he's 6-1. It's called an overlay. That means that the public don't like that horse, but that's what it's called, an overlay. So you want to look at the morning line and stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to end this segment on horse racing. Don't forget, you can pick up my book. It's in the book Winning Ways, Blackjack, Craps, and Roulette. Try to get it on your phone. You're better off. Okay, thank you, and go to my other videos and watch my other videos. I want to thank Aaron here, Go Live Vegas. This show is called Full Tilt Vegas.